I spent over a year working 12-hour days in 90-degree heat. Concrete, steel, sweat, every drop of energy poured into one thing, saving enough to rebuild my father's land, 10 acres by the lake. Quiet, peaceful, mine. I locked the gate before leaving for work out of state chain, fence, everything sealed tight. That land wasn't just dirt, it was legacy. So when I came back a year later, dust trailing behind my truck, I expected silence, the same old trees, the same stretch of grass that smelled like home. But what I saw instead stopped my breath cold. 2 mansions, not houses, mansions, 6-bedroom marble palaces sitting right where my father's oak trees used to stand. Driveways paved with imported stone, fountains bubbling, red ribbons still tied to their gates. For a second, I thought I had turned down the wrong road, until I saw something nailed to a pole near my old fence, private HOA property. My fence was gone, my gate tossed aside like scrap wood. And on the porch of one of those mansions stood a woman holding a glass of champagne, laughing like she owned the world. That was Linda Crane, HOA president, local queen, professional power trip. She spotted me from the driveway and called out, "Excuse me, you can't park here, this is HOA property." I didn't move, I just stared at the land behind her. Every inch of it used to belong to me, and it still did. I parked right in front of her perfect hedges. She strutted toward me, designer sunglasses, clipboard in hand, fake smile plastered on her face. Her voice dripped with superiority. "You must be lost. This area's been redeveloped by the HOA." I reached into my truck and pulled out an old envelope. The original land deed, faded ink, my father's signature still clear. "Funny," I said, "because the name on this land isn't yours, and that fence you tore down belonged to my father." She laughed, the kind of laugh that says you're nobody. "Well," she smirked, "maybe you should have kept better records. The HOA has full jurisdiction here." That one word, jurisdiction, burned, because I knew what it meant. She thought she could bury me in paperwork. She didn't know I had kept everything. By nightfall, I had called my lawyer. By morning, I had copies of every county record, survey, and construction permit. And what I found made my hands shake, not from fear, but from fury. The HOA had expanded the neighborhood lines illegally. The entire project, both mansions, was built inside my property boundaries. Every inch of it mine. They had stolen my land and built their dream homes on it. But what they didn't know, I had the proof that would bury them. The next morning, I was back parked across the road, camera in hand, filming every truck, every worker, every delivery, documenting it all. Linda saw me from her balcony. "Sir, you're trespassing again." She shouted, phone already in hand. I just smiled, not for long. I said under my breath, by noon, I was at the county property office. I handed the clerk my folder, maps, deeds, survey reports, and asked her to check the coordinates. She typed for a while, then froze. "Sir," she said quietly, "they built on the wrong parcel." I nodded. "Not wrong," I said, "mine." That same afternoon, I drove straight to the sheriff's department. I showed them the documents, the satellite images, the signatures, everything. By the time the officers followed me back to the site, Linda was hosting another champagne party by the pool. The moment the patrol car pulled up, her smile cracked. "Is there a problem, officers?" she said, her voice shaking just enough to show she knew what was coming. One officer stepped forward. "We received a property ownership dispute. We'll need to verify construction permits." Linda's tone turned sharp. "This is my land." I stepped out of my truck and dropped the folder on the hood. "Not according to the county," I said. Her confidence vanished. The workers stopped drilling. Guests went silent. The lead officer took out a map, compared coordinates, and finally turned to her. "Ma'am, these houses are not inside HOA jurisdiction. They're built entirely on this man's property." For a moment, nobody breathed. Linda blinked, stammered something about survey errors and paperwork confusion. But the officer wasn't buying it. Within an hour, a county inspector arrived. He walked the entire perimeter, GPS device in hand, and when he was done, he didn't even look at her. "Ma'am," he said flatly, "you've built 2 mansions on private land that doesn't belong to you." And just like that, her empire cracked. Her guests scattered. Her contractors packed up, and she stood there silent, shaking, defeated. But the real hit came later, because under state law, any permanent structure built on land you don't own becomes the property of the rightful owner, meaning both mansions, both pools, every chandelier, every tile legally belonged to me. I didn't have to fight her anymore, the law already had. She tried to threaten a lawsuit. Her lawyers called mine, but the documents were airtight. Within weeks, the HOA board started to implode. Resignations, panic, blame. Half of them turned on Linda. The rest just vanished. 3 months later, the HOA funds were frozen. Their office shut down, and their queen stripped of everything she thought she owned. The day the county clerk handed me the mansion keys, she smiled and said, "Congratulations, Mr. Carter. They're officially yours." I walked up that same driveway where Linda had once told me I was trespassing. The red ribbon still fluttered in the breeze, half cut, forgotten. I didn't tear it down. I walked right through it. Inside, the air still smelled of new paint and money, cold, hollow money. Gold chandeliers. Marble floors, imported furniture. It was beautiful but empty. I stood in the living room in the house she built and whispered, "On my land, my father's land." Outside, the lake shimmered just like it did the day I left. Except now, everything around it was mine again. The news spread fast. The HOA was gone. The story hit local TV. Homeowner wins after HOA builds mansions on his land. People cheered. Contractors who'd never been paid finally got justice. Neighbors stopped pretending and started talking. And Linda, she disappeared. Last I heard, she sold everything she had left and moved away quietly. But the best part wasn't revenge. It was peace. Because the land that once echoed with her arrogance now held something else: silence, wind, and the sound of truth settling back into place. I rebuilt my father's old gate, planted new trees along the edge, let the soil breathe again, and when I finally sat on the balcony watching the sunset reflect off the lake, the mansions glowed gold, one symbol of greed, one of justice. Both reminders. She built her dream homes on stolen soil. And in the end, the land took them back, not by force, not by revenge, but by patience and proof, because the truth doesn't shout, it waits. And when it arrives, it takes everything that never belonged. She built 2 mansions on my land, and when she cut the ribbon, I took the keys. Now, the HOA gone, and the land finally remembers its real owner.